All right, so y'all go ahead and do the factoring of the math knowledge question. Pause the video, and then once everyone's finished, unpause the video, and we'll go over the correct answers. So looking at the factoring for today, before we actually want to try and factor this, you want to take out the greatest common factor, the GCF. That is going to be at 3x. So if you pull that out, you're going to be left with 5x squared plus x minus 4. So then we're going to use remove, replace, reduce on the rest of it. And you're going to have a negative 20 here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace my 5. I'm going to do plus 5 and minus 4. That first set will reduce. You can divide it by 5. So you'll have 3x times x plus 1, and then times 5x minus 4. And so that would be your answer. Okay, looking at the math knowledge question. We are looking for the length of AE. That is the length that is right here. So we're looking for that value there. Well, they told us that the height of our trapezoid is 20. So we're going to use tangent. Tangent of 50 degrees is going to be 20 over x. So you multiply both sides by x. So you have x times tangent of 50 equals 20. And then you're going to divide by the tangent of 50. And so your answer is 20 over the tangent of 50, which is C. All right, so we are looking at lesson 61 today, playing games with F, F prime, and F double prime. I think this is kind of a cool lesson. It's more of a logic type of reasoning to me. You may not feel like you're playing games, but it's the closest you may get to playing games with a Saxon calculus lesson. So we'll see how you like it. But hopefully you'll understand what they're talking about when they say playing games with F, F prime, and F double prime. Alrighty, so they give us our function. It is ax cubed plus b. It tells us that our graph passes through the point 2, 25, and the derivative, when you plug in 3, is 81. And so what we need to do is, we have our function, we need to find the derivative. The derivative of ax cubed is going to be 3ax squared, and then the derivative of b disappears. So now we're going to plug in 3 and 81. Our function equals 81 when our x value is 3. So 81, and then 3 times 3 squared is 27 times a. And so our a value is equal to 3. So now our function looks like this. F of x equals 3x cubed plus b. And now we need to find our b. They told us that we have this point on our function. So that means that our function equals 25 when our x value is 2. So 25, 2 cubed is 8 times 3 is going to be 24 plus b. And so our b value equals 1. And so that would be your a and your b. So that's what they're talking about when they're saying playing games with f, f prime, and f double prime. You've got to take the derivative, and then sometimes you'll have to take the second derivative, and you'll plug in the numbers that they give you. Okay, so looking at the next example, we have a function that is a real quadratic function, and it passes through the point 2, 9 and 0, 1, and the slope of the graph is 6 when x equals 2. We want to find the equation of f. Well, a real quadratic function is going to be ax squared plus bx plus c. And they tell us it goes through this point and this point. So when our function equals 9, our x value is a 2. And we can go ahead and simplify that and get 9 equals 4a plus 2b plus c. And then they also tell us when our function equals 1, we have plugged in a 0. So a 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c. Those two terms go away, and so our c value is a 1. So we found one of our 3 variables. Now we've got to find A, and B. I can go ahead and plug in a 1 here, which will make this equation 8 equals 4A plus 2B. Now I'm going to need to use the derivative because that's what your slope is. It's just the derivative of your function. So our derivative is going to be 2ax plus b. And they tell me that the derivative equals 6 when our x value is a 2. So that means that 6 equals 4a plus b. At this point, I'm going to choose to do elimination and multiply this equation by -1. So I'm going to have -6 equals -4a minus b. So 2 equals b. And then I just need to plug my b value in to find my a. Well, 6 plus 6 equals 4a plus 2. So 4 equals 4a. So my a value is 1. But it didn't actually give me an a, a b, and a c in the question. It just told me to find a quadratic function. I set my a, my b, and my c. And so I need to write my function. And so my a is a 1. Well, you don't actually need to put a 1 in front of your x squared. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. So I have x squared plus 2x and then plus 1. And so that is how it would actually be written. Alrighty, so looking at the next one. It gives us the second derivative is 10, the first derivative at 0 is 2, and then the original at 0 is 3. What is the equation of f? Well, on these, we're going to start with the second derivative, and we're going to integrate that. If you integrate that, you would get 10x plus c. And now we can go ahead and plug in when our function is 2, our x value was 0. And so that means that our c equals 2. And so our first derivative function is 10x plus 2. And then we can integrate that to get our original function. So that'd be 5x squared plus 2x plus c. And they told us that our function equals 3 when our x value was a 0. So that means that your c value is a 3. And so our original function is just going to be 5x squared plus 2x and then plus 3. And so that's the function there for that one. So that's what they mean when they say playing games with f, f prime, and f double prime. It's basically just logic problems using your function, a derivative, and then the second derivative. I think they're kind of fun. I don't think they're super duper hard as long as you remember how your function, your derivative, and your second derivative are related. But anyway, hopefully that gives you a little bit of help dealing with your playing games with f, f prime, and f double prime. On your homework, you do get to omit number 2 and 3, so make sure that you do that tonight so that we can go over any questions that you have tomorrow.